moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. So I will call this meeting back to order at 9:17 p.m. And I have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Connect, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that council move out of the statutory public meeting at 9:17 p.m. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. This takes us into planning and development reports. Our first report is with regard to JRB Williams Enterprises, public consultation strategy for proposed development located at Algonquin Street and Price Street. Mr. Barry, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to add at this time.
Thank you. And Mr. Barry, I understand you're planning to get married tomorrow. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Well, let's try to get through the rest of this meeting so that you can get to the wedding on time, shall we?
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And advance congratulations on behalf of council, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See, now that clapping assumes you're going to go through with it, sir.
Yes, of course.
With that, I have a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that council receives the staff report dated August 18th, 2021 regarding a public consultation strategy for a proposed development located at Algonquin Street and Price Street. The council directs staff to issue a notice of pending development application, including virtual public open house details. Notice will be advertised in the Brighton Independent on the municipal website and provided by mail to all landowners within 120 meters of the property. A notice of pending development application will also be posted on the subject lands. The cost of advertising the notice of pending development will be borne by the proponent. The council directs the planning staff to host a virtual public open house meeting prior to receiving a complete application for the purposes of providing the public with notice of the proposed development and obtaining public comments. The council directs planning staff to attend a site visit with neighboring residents as part of the public engagement process. That council directs staff to report back to council with the findings of the open house and site visit. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
I just have one question. So the application at this point is not yet complete. Is that what you're saying? So we could be weeks ahead yet before we revisit this?
Mr. Barry?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would say we're actually several months ahead. So the point is to get the comments from the public to help shape the complete application as it comes in.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I just want to comment. This sounds like a very thorough process, and I appreciate that it's been put in place.
And hopefully we can replicate it for other future things beyond the planning department. Any further comments from members of council? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. That takes us to the Main Street variety. Oh, I'll wait for Councillor Tadman to return. Welcome back, Councillor Tadman. We're on to the Main Street variety sign variance. And this report was written by Mr. McGee, who I don't believe is joining us this evening. So Mr. Walsh, do you have anything to add or highlight with regard to this?
Nothing further, Mayor.
Thank you. The motion is moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman. The council receives the report dated August 18th, 2021, being a sign variance to permit 2 additional wall signs, and further the council of the municipality of Brighton grants approval to the sign variance through resolution as requested by Frank Abellini for Main Street variety in Brighton, 77 Main Street, to advertise another local business, McDonald's restaurant. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not in agreement with this as far as hanging more poster boards in the municipality. This, I believe, already contravenes the bylaw as we know it, having more than 2 signs on a commercial building. I'm not sure what the wishes of council are, but I don't like the idea that once again although McDonald's is within the municipality, having worked with the DBIA I have concerns that we're sending business off Main Street and not keeping it within the downtown. So at this stage, I'm going to vote against this, and at some point would like to bring a notice of motion to revisit the whole sign bylaw as we have it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Connect.
Thank you. I'd agree. I just think I think we've opened up a can of worms here, and it's time to revisit the sign bylaw so that we can get a better handle on these signs.
Thank you for that. Councillor Bateman.
I don't disagree with what they're saying, and when we revisit, I think we have to look at a lot of the existing businesses, because this wouldn't be the only one that is over compliance or not in compliance with the number of signs that are allowed. And even if we could I don't know if it's in the existing bylaw for condition of existing signs, because the establishment what we're talking about here, their main sign looks like it's got the crack in it and looks like it's gonna fall down. So I think if that's not part of the bylaw, your signs have to be in a good condition as well. So when they revisit it, that could be covered.
Thank you for that. Anything further? All those in favor of the motion? All those in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is defeated. And the next report is request for proposal contract RFP PD 2021-01 Urban Area Secondary Plan. Sorry, my iPad's acting up. Mr. Walsh, we've read your report. Do you have anything to add or highlight, sir?
Nothing further, Mayor?
Thank you. The motion before me is moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The council receives the staff report dated August 18th, 2021 regarding the award of RFP PD 2021-01 secondary plan for the urban area of Brighton. The council award RFP PD 2021-01 to DM Wills in the amount of $175,672.50. That staff negotiate with DM Wills any discrepancies between the terms of reference of the RFP and the submitted scope of work as proposed in order to ensure improved alignment. That should negotiation with DM Wills for improved alignment fail to align with RFP terms, the award be assigned to IBI Incorporated for the amount of $228,970. That the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the RFP contract as awarded, and that the interpretation of the environmental protection areas be completed by the municipal service partner, Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority, for the amount of $15,000. And that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the memorandum of understanding between the Ganaraska Region Conservation Authority and the municipality of Brighton. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rowley.
Quickly, right? I'm just glad to see that we're going to move forward with this secondary plan. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you for that. I think we all agree with that. Anything further? All those in favor? Any opposed? The motion is carried. Next report is with regard to the declaration sale of surplus land, application file number RC01-2021 to close a municipal road allowance between lots 1 and 2, concession 1, registered as Center Street, and block 18 on M Plan 39-829 and block 19 on M Plan 39-847. Mr. Walsh, we've read this report. Do you have anything to add or highlight?
I think council's received a couple of items of information since the issuing of the agenda. One is a concept plan of a subdivision adjacent to the road allowance so that folks can get a context for how this road allowance might fit in. And secondly, excerpts from 39M plans being the registered plans of what's referred to as the Ruse subdivision, which composed of Algonquin Avenue, Iroquois, etc., and showing a particular block of what we call block or a strip of land running parallel to the road allowance. So I'm hoping to get this on the screen for everyone to take a look at. There's the concept plan. Again, there hasn't been any formal pre-consultation on this, so it's pretty fresh from the landowner of what we refer to as the Lance Estate lands and the Macmillan lands, I believe, on the south, the kind of east-west oriented parcel, and how it would tie into Hamilton Woods south of that. So we see the location of the road allowance. Okay. And I think that's fairly readable by everyone. I think maybe a bit of a zoom would be good, Tom. Yeah, there we see the road allowance that's proposed to be closed and conveyed to the subdivision lands. And we've heard from Solicitor Jennifer Savini from Templeman this evening, renewing interest to have the applications for closure of road allowance on the west half by the 10 residents along Algonquin Avenue to have lands conveyed to those individual lots. And staff recommendations are, one, essentially recognize that the Ruse subdivision be remain intact. A little technicality there, but at one time, Ms. Blatt, or Planning Act rather, was fairly clear and don't muck with the minister's approved plan. This is in the days before downloading on to municipalities. So there are some technical glitches in trying to add land to existing parcels and registered plans of subdivision, but they are, you can get to them. And the sense is that perhaps the road allowance should have been enclosed and conveyed at the time that plan of subdivision was first given consideration and approval. So all the lands would have been subject to all the studies, the geotechnical, the stormwater, EIS, etc. So now we're adding lands that maybe wouldn't be subject to that planning review. Not that it couldn't be now. I think looking from a high level down gives a lot more flexibility and therefore efficiency to have the road allowance closed conveyed to be part of the plan of subdivision lands. So that is essentially the recommendation. Other options considered were to possibly, as requested by the Algonquin Street residents, to maintain the west half of the road allowance as one block and have it zoned EP without trails, so that the forested area or wooded area, I wouldn't call it forest, but a wooded area could be remain intact to what they're accustomed to seeing. Staff recommended against that option, given that it would be an ongoing municipal maintenance obligation without any public benefit. I think if we're going to have a road allowance there, we use it as a street. If we're not going to have a road allowance there, then we declare it surplus and deal with it in some fashion. The other option is to convey it in parts to the adjoining landowners to the west, and that would necessitate some consideration for an EIS because it is designated environmental protection official plan. I would think it would be a very narrow scope EIS, but the plan is what the plan says what the plan says, and there are some drainage issues in that area as well. So all those things should be in some orderly fashion addressed and coordinated with the plan subdivision at the same time as it is developed. And the other option was to do nothing and have a trail there. What we see from this concept plan that maybe the preferred location is to have open space system associated with Butler Creek. We've recently undertaken approvals to establish that in our approval given to the Butler Creek condominium development. So I think it's high priority, a strong preference to have some plan that is consistent with that prior approval. So those are the options that were presented in the report. And it's preferred to that we continue with the closure and conveyance of the road allowance to make sure that we can have efficient and orderly planning and build out of those lands. Other options would not give us that same opportunity, in my opinion. Recently, as the council has received that one, and Tom, I don't know if we can pull that up, that black and white showing the block on 39M as previously registered. Yes, please. Thank you. So there's two pieces. This is along Algonquin Avenue, and you see that there's a 2-meter block. I've reviewed this in preparation for the staff report, and there's a bit of a lack of information on it. Subdivision agreement doesn't make specific reference to its purpose, but my assumption was that it was meant to be partly a drainage area because there is some drainage features in that general vicinity. But the question has risen from the proponent of the closure of the road allowance, the applicant, that this block has never been folded into that road allowance. Therefore, it's not part of something that's considered a road allowance. And the question arose whether or not, therefore, the Algonquin Street residents would have opportunity and eligibility, rather, to make application to close, convey their half of the road allowance, since they do not abut. I think that's maybe more of a technical issue than a practical one, in the sense that the municipality or council, if of interest, could just simply convey that block to the residents of Algonquin, and they would have frontage, so and therefore qualify. So I don't think anything really moves on this substantively, ultimately, but I think it's warrants further investigation by staff to take a look. If we can find some archived staff reports. We're not going to find a subdivision agreement, tried that, but let's take a look at some other sources and see what the intent of council was when that block 19 was established.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh, for those comments. And before we read the motion on the floor, I need a motion to extend the meeting. So I'll ask for a mover and let me know if you want to extend to a natural conclusion or for a time period. Councillor Rowley. Famous last words. It's moved by Councillor Rowley, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that council extend the meeting to its natural conclusion. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. I'll read the motion before me and then we can have some discussion. It's moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that council receives the staff report dated August 18th, 2021. As follow-up to the June, actually, before I do that, is it your suggestion that because of the block 19 information provided to us that we should refer this all back to staff?
That is the oral recommendation, Mayor.
Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc, that council refers application RC 01-2021 to staff to consider information presented and investigate historical data. Does that make sense to you, sir? Is that motion okay with you, Councillor Anderson? Councillor LeBlanc? Any discussion? Councillor LeBlanc?
in your statement, you said there's a 2-meter strip along the property line, right? And the proponent to the east says because of that 2-meter strip, the homes on Algonquin aren't entitled to the road allowance.
That's the question posed to staff. And perhaps a question that staff will have to then turn to the municipal solicitor to ask that question. Usually when I see a block like this, it's a reserve to not allow access to certain lands. So normally in a planned subdivision, if a street terminates at adjoining lands, which is common, we ask for future development to be accommodated by a street. So we draft approve that plan showing a street terminating at the neighbor's land. We ask for 0.3 meter reserve. That's usually given a block number on the plan. And that's specified in the subdivision agreement, blocks as a reserve, so that no one's going to be eligible to put an entrance there. And otherwise use that as an access point. So it's a means of controlling access. So the question by the proponent of the application, the applicant, is those blocks, are they not meant to inhibit access to that road allowance? And so I have to look into that.
Go ahead.
So in your, through your chart, so in your statement, you said that council could give that 2 acres to the homeowners. Because who owns it? Who has a deed on it now?
That would be under the ownership of the municipality. So I'm just saying, if council's ultimate wish is to dispose of all these lands, then the practical basis, whatever that disposal is, then it would just, it wouldn't inhibit council's intentions because you own and control it.
Councillor Tadman.
The question I ask is, why is it surplus? I think it's an asset. So if it's an asset, why wouldn't we keep something that's an asset and not give it to anybody? Because the whole part of that area, I was so shocked when it was all stripped of trees. So even if we could save a few trees in that area, why don't we? So that's my bottom line. I think we should keep it. And
So-
I think it's enough.
Right now, we're just talking about referring this matter back to staff to bring it back to us for further discussion and debate. Is there anything further on the referral, which we probably shouldn't be debating now that I'm thinking about it, but I've started down this road. Deputy Mayor Connect.
Well, Councillor Tadman actually brings up a good point. So if we're referring it back, I want to know, like, should we be keeping this? What's best for the municipality? And I think we need to be clear on that, because we don't always have to give these properties away. I just need to understand a little bit more what we're doing and why we're doing it, and whether this is a piece of property that maybe we need to keep just for that reason, just to keep the trees and the green space. We hear about this a lot, so I think we need to understand it.
Go ahead, Councillor Tadman.
Yeah, I'm glad that the deputy mayor is thinking along the same line as me. So I don't even think we need to defer this back to staff. So I will be voting against this motion. I think it's an asset.
Very well.
I don't think it's surplus.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any
In
opposed
favor
of the referral?
No, I'm not in favor.
All in favor of referring it to staff? Those opposed? Motion is carried. We have no unfinished business this evening, which brings us into bylaws. First bylaw is zoning bylaw amendment. Nope, we're not doing that. That was referred to staff. And the zoning bylaw amendment for short term is referred to staff. Which brings us to question period. Madam Clerk or Deputy Clerk, are we aware of anyone joining us for question period? No, thank you. We have no in-camera session this evening. Bringing us to our confirmatory bylaw, moved by Councillor Bateman, seconded by Councillor Anderson, that council gives a bylaw its first, second, and third reading and finally passes on this date. Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the corporation of the municipality of Brighton Council meeting held on August 18th, 2021. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. And finally, a motion moved by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Bateman, that the August 21st, 2021 planning meeting adjourn at 9:43 PM. Is there any discussion? Those in favor? Are there any opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night. Drive safely home. Congratulations